am introducing a man that needs no introduction around this room, the leader of the Conservative Party, and the gentleman that took the time to take pictures with all the kids, and they're thrilled. Please give a very warm welcome to Pierre Poilievre.
Thank you, Jocelyn, and thank you to the coalition of people who employ the people who make stuff, build stuff, fix stuff, and move stuff. You employ the people who are the backbone of our country, the workers for whom we are fighting, the investors who make it possible, and thank you for having the courage, Jocelyn and Catherine Vesso, to actually stand up and fight for yourselves. Because we know that in politics, it's very simple. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And for too long, the entrepreneurial class in this country who create opportunities, who match products with people and workers with paychecks, have been trampled on by big, intrusive government that sees you as basically a limitless cornucopia of cash to turn to whenever they want to fund their latest out-of-control spending agenda. But your organization, unlike so many others, has had the courage and backbone to stand up and fight for your members, to tell it like it is, to oppose the carbon tax, C-69, the anti-energy laws, and countless other policies so that we could fight back, win these debates, and go forward to win the next election and bring forward a truly free enterprise country for all Canadians. We have some incredible people here today. But first of all, we have two of our very impressive members of Parliament, Dean Allison from the Niagara region, and we have the great and not so newly elected anymore, Member of Parliament from the Durham region, Jamil Javani. Am I missing anyone? Any of our current crop here other than those two? And then we've got so many of our previous Conservative alumni. I won't go through them all, but they are passing wisdom down the ages to our incoming members. So please go seek out our newer, you're not so new anymore, but go talk to Peter Van Loan and Tony Clement and, of course, the great Joe Oliver, the last finance minister in Canada to balance a budget. Isn't that something? If you're a finance minister in Canada who's balanced a budget, you're pretty much on the endangered species list now. But we love Joe, and he's going strong as ever. And we have some incredible guests of honor. Mike and Sue, two of our greatest energy entrepreneurs from the natural gas sector, who will be honored later. Tourmaline, your company, the biggest producer of natural gas in Canada, I understand. And now we can only get it somewhere to sell it, right? And for $15 instead of $3, right? That's the plan. And of course, we have a great friend of Canada, Congressman Pete Sessions from Texas. Thank you, Congressman. You know, the congressman welcomed me to Capitol Hill. I think it might have been twice, actually. And he, of course, has been very gracious in coming back to Canada. He's an advocate of free trade, tariff-free trade, an open economy that allows our goods and services to travel across our border, and a solid alliance to protect our continent against the bad guys abroad. Thank you very much, Congressman, for making the trip up here. You know, our government in Canada, Congressman, has been killing so many energy projects. They killed the Energy East project, which would have taken a million barrels a day of Western oil to New Brunswick. And so TransCanada became TC, and I think they went and bought a bunch of pipelines in Texas. And then Kinder Morgan was building a pipeline to the Pacific, and the government effectively killed it with red tape, and they had to buy it. So Kinder Morgan took the money from that taxpayer-funded purchase, and what did they do with it? They went and spent it in Texas. So here in Canada, we like to say all our exes are in Texas. We're talking about pipelines and not ex-girlfriends. But we say this in the friendliest possible way. Our mission is to repeal these anti-energy laws, reverse these policies, and start bringing some of this money back to our country so that we can prosper on this side of the border. And we look forward to getting a deal with our friends, our American friends, to end the tariffs on both sides of the border and allow both of our peoples to prosper. And I know that that is a dream that you hold dear, and with which I hope that we get a chance to work together. So thank you again, Congressman, for making the trip all the way from Dallas. And there's a story of a doctor who administers a poison into his patient, and the patient starts to panic as he's feeling his lungs tighten and his chest seize up, and then the doctor quickly administers the antidote and saves his life. And so the patient says, he says to the patient, you're all better now. And the patient says, well, why did you poison me in the first place? Well, he said, if I didn't poison you, then I couldn't have given you the antidote, and I wanted to save your life. And so the patient scratched his head. But when you think about it, that is really the nature of government policy today in Canada. Let's give a few examples here. So we have housing. I was just talking with Peter Van Loan, who works at getting housing approved. We have the second slowest building permits in the OECD. The development charges to build a new home have gone up by over 1,000%. 60% of the cost of a new home built in the Greater Vancouver area is government, taxes, fees, charges, etc. So they block home building. And then they say, we don't have enough homes. We need a government program in order to subsidize home building. And they create these monstrous government programs at CMHC and elsewhere in order to subsidize back to life that which they had suffocated in the first place. And then you have the energy sector. They pass legislation that makes it so it takes 10 to 15 years to get a permit for a mine. Actually, it takes closer to 20 years if you start from scratch to get a mining permit in Canada, which is one of the slowest places in the developed world. And then they create massive corporate welfare funds to subsidize the natural resource sector, including, as I said, buying a pipeline. And then you've got taxation. With high personal rates of taxation, we drive more and more investment out of our country, high levels of capital gains tax, punish those that invest in our enterprises. And then they turn around and say, well, we need a $15 billion Canada Growth Fund to subsidize the very businesses and the investment that we've been driving away. It's like President Reagan said, if a liberal sees something that moves, he taxes it. If it keeps moving, he regulates it. And when it stops moving, he subsidizes it. And that has been the model for our economy for the last 10 years. The results are clear. $500 billion of net investment has left Canada for the United States. And by the way, it wasn't always the case. In the Harper years, depending on which year it was, anywhere between $30 and $100 billion more Canadian investment was active in Canada than there was Canadian investment in the States. But because of the high taxes and the brutal red tape, the blocking of our resource projects, more and more of our money, including our pension funds, is fleeing our country to places where it can get a return. And so the answer to bringing it back is to unleash the free enterprise system. Our goal in Canada should be to make this the freest economy in the world, that we unlock the incredible power of free exchange. I call it the double thank you. When you walk into a coffee shop and you buy the coffee and you thank the lady who handed it to you, and what does she say? She doesn't say you're welcome. She says thank you. And that's because the money you paid her is worth more to her coffee shop than the coffee she parted with. Just like the coffee is worth more to you than the money you paid for it. If I have an apple and want an orange, you have an orange and want an apple, and we trade, we still have an apple and orange between us, but we're both richer because each of us has something more valuable to us than we had before. Now, taxes and government are a little different. In government, everything is done by force, not by voluntary exchange. And that's why nobody ever writes thank you on their tax forms. Even though it's meant to be it's a transaction. You're supposed to be buying all these services. Well, why is nobody ever writing thank you on those forms? Well, because of course it's all done by force and coercion. Free and voluntary exchange guarantees one thing, and this is a truism. Both parties must believe they're better off, or they wouldn't be doing it. That is the genius of free exchange of work for wages, product for payment, investment for interest that characterizes the free enterprise system that we need to reinstill in this country. And that means repealing the anti-energy laws. Let's set a goal at all three levels of government, and let's get our business community rallying around it, that this should be the fastest place anywhere on earth to get a building permit so that you can just build stuff. We should be able to approve a pipeline or a mine within 6 months to a year by repealing C-69, C-48, getting rid of the tanker ban, the energy cap, the plastics ban, the electric vehicle mandate. Let's get rid of all of that and allow consumers and businesses to make their own choices about the products that they want to buy. We just put forward a motion in Parliament this week to reverse the electric car mandate that they're putting in starting next year. We're going to get rid of that mandate and we're going to put you back in the driver's seat to decide what you drive and where you go. And then there's the taxes. We have to make this the most attractive place to succeed. If you're a Waterloo grad, you come out of university with an advanced engineering degree, you can work in Canada for a 70-cent dollar, pay 53% tax, and pay $1.3 million for an average home. Or you can go to Texas, and what's the marginal tax rate there? Oh. I hope there's no, he said, I asked him, what's the tax rate in Texas? He said, I don't know what, tax? I haven't heard of that. I don't know what that is. I hope there's no young engineers in this room. I think we might have lost them. And then you can, how much does it cost to buy a nice house in your district? $320. Wow, so about $500,000 Canadian. $500,000 Canadian, you can't get anything for $500,000 Canadian. Just so you know, in Canada, the average price where we are here is over $1 million Canadian. So what, 700, I don't know, I'm doing the math off the top of my head, 750,000. I'm not moving anywhere. I'm staying here, Congressman, because we're going to fight for our people to have the opportunities that they deserve. We're going to reinstate a system, a free enterprise that frankly flourished in this country for a very long time. We had one of the freest economies in the world. In fact, some of the institutes rated our economy as being even more open and free than the American economy as recently as 2014. And that is the mission that we have to carry out now. We have to cut the taxes, unleash our entrepreneurs, allow the free exchange of ideas, of labor, of energy, and of all of the immense products that we have. We have such potential in this country. We've got the third biggest supply of oil, that we're the fifth biggest producer of natural gas. We have the biggest oceanic coastline anywhere in the world, the most uranium, the most potash. We have more land per capita than any other developed country. We are the future here in Canada. All we need to do is unlock the potential that we have in our nation. In the words of the great John Diefenbaker, whom Anna, my lovely wife, is tired of hearing this quote over and over again, but she has to hear it one last time. I am a Canadian, free to speak without fear, free to stand for what I think right, free to oppose what I believe wrong, free to worship God in my own way, free to choose those who shall govern my country. This heritage of freedom I pledge to uphold for myself and all of mankind. Thank you very much. Great to be with you.